Are you sick of living in the shadow of someone else? Need some help learning to love yourself and tap into your unique strengths, or embrace your leadership potential so you can thrive in your life? This is Empower with Nancy. Let's start the show.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for another episode with Empower with Nancy. And I am so honored to have Dr. Forbes Riley on my podcast today. And so I want to talk a little bit about Forbes, known as Queen of Pitch. I absolutely love that, Forbes. So, celebrity TV host Dr. Forbes Riley is a pioneer and industry leader in the field of infomercials and home shopping TV and product sales of over 2.5 billion. That is fabulous. Having worked with prominent CEOs, 7, 8, 9-figure earners, and sales teams, her mission now is to empower future leaders, emerging entrepreneurs, action takers, and visionaries to achieve their dreams. Welcome, Forbes. Thank you so much for being on my podcast.
I could just sit around listening to my accolades being read all day. It sounds so impressive.
I love it. You know, I've been following you for a long time, and I just love your energy. So you really inspire me. So on today's topics, I really want to talk about empowerment, motivation, and your wellness and fitness. So my first question to you is, how did your journey lead you to your current success in celebrity TV?
I was just born that way. Gorgeous, rich, happy, healthy. Or I went through all kinds of shit growing up. And we show, if you ever come to one of my Sunday trainings, I've been doing Sunday Live for about an hour and a half since COVID started, where I go in depth into the story and I inspire the people to learn what it means to be able to pitch. And so I have a very dramatic story, like so many of us have. I was a very ugly, awkward little girl. I had a very weirdly broken nose. I had braces for 8 years. I had a tongue twister for 2 years. I couldn't talk. And so I had a very lonely, awkward childhood. And I'm looking at you and you're really cute. Don't mind me. Cute is probably not a word we use for grown women, but you can't see because I am a woman. But if I look like somebody who was really adorable, cute blonde hair, I was not that girl. And I didn't hang out with any of those girls. I hung out with a lot of television and movies, did a lot of homework. I graduated high school a year early. I graduated college with 2 degrees in just 3 years.
Wow.
And people look at me going, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, you have to listen to the story to understand the outcome of it, of how I'm as intuitive as I am, how I have a desire now to be heard and make a difference. I've never found a role model that really served me. Mm-hmm. We all talk about, I want a role model that looks like me. Everybody wants a Barbie that looks like them.
Right.
Well, for me, when I look at Oprah, I see a woman who has no children. And as successful as she is and amazing as she is as a woman and a role model, having children, unlike having a couple of dogs, changes your perspective on life. And that has really, for the last 21 years, been a very driving force in all the decisions that I've made and how much time I've spent getting famous or having my courses out there. People are like, Forbes, how come we don't know about all that you're doing until now? Well, because I have 2 beautiful children who love me. And at the end of my life, all the courses and all the trainings don't add up to the fact that my kids can't wait to go on vacation with me and spend time with me as a person. And I love that and I cherish that. And I'm glad that I get to teach that part of my life as well, because I didn't have them until I was 42.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I am 63 at the moment, which I know, who knew? And that's
beautiful,
part of
beautiful, fabulous.
Well, I'll tell you what, as I'm looking at my fitness product over here, I just had, and you're the first person to hear this part of the story. I just had a breakfast with an amazing man that I've not seen in 20 years. 21 years ago, he literally pulled out and hand-delivered my twins.
No, he did not.
He's right behind that door.
You have twins?
Oh, I have a boy and a girl. Are you kidding me? My son's in college. My daughter runs a multi-million-dollar company. She's a CEO and one of the coolest women you're ever going to want to meet. And that is part of the whole legacy of Forbes Riley, is that how did I create 2 kids who are self-sufficient? I trained them. Let me tell you something. I was in the book Chicken Soup for the Soul for busy working moms about a year after they were born, because I used to raise dogs and train dogs for television. I used to do a thing called Dog Agility. I did it for ESPN's X Games, for the Great Outdoor Games. I did it for a TV series on Animal Planet. And I've trained my kids a lot like I train my dogs. And people are like, right, so here's the point of that story, is that dogs don't speak English or French or Spanish or Chinese. They just don't. So if you're looking at your dog and they just choose your favorite shoes, you're like, oh, Fido, please don't chew my shoes. They're so expensive. And all the dog is hearing is wah, 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 wah. But if you're like, Fido, look, here's a treat. Give me your paw. No, here's a treat. Give me a paw. You do this enough, Fido goes, okay, you want me to give you your paw. And there was a reward system. And I took a lot of this training. And one of the things people are asking me for, and I'll probably do this soon, is a parenting book. Because I had very specific rituals for getting my children to be who they are. And they will tell you this. I mean, one of them is my son just called me from college. And he's like, Mom, you know that thing where you didn't punish us? You made us punish ourselves? That's turned out to be really good. I'm like, yeah, I know.
You're like,
I know.
yes.
Well, because otherwise you do something wrong, like you run a red light and you look for a cop. Well, that's not the point. Don't run the red light, because there will be a consequence. It's not about the cop catching you. It's about the accident you're liable to cause. And so I really instilled very young in my children is that every action has a consequence. I don't want to be the bad one. I'm not going to spank you or yell. I'm not even going to take your phone away. You're going to voluntarily tell me to take your phone away, because you know you did something wrong. And when you get to a certain age, if you've got that barometer in your own head, you go, wow, I had a drink. Maybe I'm not going to drive home. There's no one there to tell you otherwise. And so I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of the I want game. Kids used to say all the time, I want something. Great. You want a cookie? I want you to wiggle, wiggle. You want a cookie? I want you to touch your nose. You want a cookie? I want a clean room. Wait, when did that sneak in there? You wanted a cookie? I want a clean room. And so we discovered ways to do this. There was very little fighting in my house because of the count to 10 game, which I won't share with you right now, but will be in the book. Because they're really, really valuable. And maybe it's because I got to 42 without children and running companies and running teams and understanding what team building is. Why wouldn't you take that into your children's household, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is part of it. And then the other part of it is I looked at my mom, who was 260 pounds my whole life, who was the daughter of an immigrant who had her own mental issues. And I said, I love you very much. You are my best friend. I just don't want to be you. And I didn't. And I am now 15 years older than she was. I have a picture of her when I graduated college. And she doesn't look like me, because I decided at that moment when I was 17 that I was not going to look like her, that there might be another way. And that led me down the journey of creating my spin gym, which to this day,
I saw that.
Now I have to express to you, now you should touch this, because when you touch it, it's unlike anything you've ever experienced. I've sold 2.5 million of these things without really trying, okay? It's not really on the market. You can get it on my website at Shop Forbes Riley, but we're not actively promoting this, but I carry it with me wherever I go. Now here's a true Forbes Riley story. You call me the queen of pitch. Well, how does that all fit together? Well, I never leave home without this. I'm traveling all the time. I look the way I do because I do this every day. I'm having breakfast with Stuart, who's not seen me in 20 years. I brought one as a gift. And the waitress comes over at our breakfast place. She's like, well, what is that? I make her do it. And her reaction is this in seconds, like, oh my God, this is amazing. Well, how do I get one of these? I'm like, I have an extra one in my bag. You want it? And so she bought it. How many people get paid to have breakfast? She paid me twice what my breakfast costs. And I'm like, that's the queen of pitch. Yeah, I didn't have to sell her anything. And so this to me, not only is the greatest fitness product, everyone should have one. And there, if you don't, and it comes in hot pink, and it comes in green and pink and blue and silver.
Love the hot pink.
It also epitomizes how to do business, about how to get someone interested, how to not overtalk your pitch, how to literally get someone. And this is one of my biggest lessons that I will continue to teach. Nancy, when you've got something that you love, you can't wait to tell everybody about it. But you become kind of annoying. Ever meet somebody who just signed up for a network marketing company?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, I got it. Just like the dog, right?
Right.
And so what they're in essence doing is telling you that you need it. Here's why you need to join, because as soon as you use that word or hear that word, run.
Yeah.
You don't need 100%. Anything you want to do. And the secret to being a successful salesperson, marketer, business person, human being is get someone else to want what you have. When they want it, just like my I want game with my kids, they're like, okay, here, take my money. I want it. And it's not like, oh my God, I have to give you my money because I need this. Such a an energetic experience. And that's the world that I've been living in most of my life.
And it's your excitement, though. It's not, you don't even have to sit there and sell it when your energy is phenomenal. Like anybody that is going to look at and talk with you is like, your energy is like, oh my gosh, you're like a magnet. Let me hear. What do you have to say? And you're really not selling it. You're just putting your whole emphasis of I'm excited about it. It works. Try it. Like, I love the story that you just shared. So thank you so much for that.
You're
I
welcome.
have to get one of those.
Well, I will absolutely make sure that you do. Write that down. You guys take a little snapshot of the only place that you can get them, because they're only people sell them now. Anywhere else is not legitimate, is from my shop, Forbes Riley site. And I take very good care of my customers. We have so many beautiful videos online. I definitely see you with a hot pink or a purple. Purple for regal women. Yes.
Yes.
It's funny. I was raised, again, I didn't communicate with people. I didn't have friends growing up. None of it. It's so bizarre when I look at this little girl. I feel so kind of bad, and then I don't feel bad because I know how she turned out. And I watch little girls to this day. I raised one girl, one boy, and I watch all little friends, and they're all little chit-chatting, and I never had that. I just didn't live in a world where we chit-chatted, where we talked about, but I just didn't. And even when I went to Europe for the first time, I went for 6 months on my own. I took a backpack, my passport, and a Walkman. That's how old it was. And I went for 6 months, and they're like, you're going by yourself? And I'm like, that's
Yes.
the only way to travel. Why would I want to ask someone permission to go see a museum if they want to go to the beach? And I'm grateful and lucky enough, though, because I'm married to a beautiful man, and he is my partner, and I love doing everything with him, that my whole life wasn't alone, because I could have done that. And I'm glad that I didn't settle. But I knew what I wanted the second time around. The first time around, he's still one of my best friends, but not, quite partnership. And I'm very grateful for the whole story I get to tell.
It is a beautiful story. And one of the things that stuck out to me, Forbes, is, a lot of people in our world, we blame things on how we were brought up, right? Or the challenges that you've gone through. And the story that you just told is, you didn't allow your life, the challenges that you went through, create and hold you back, like paralyze you and not do anything about your life. And you changed it, right? You did what you had to do, and you went in and you changed your whole entire life because you're a very driven woman and there wasn't anything else, right? So I really, really like that.
Well, I appreciate that. But here's my question. Who thinks that life is supposed to be easy? Is there a book that says life is fair? Because if you find it, let me read it. Because people walk around saying, well, it's just not fair. My dad was an alcoholic, or I don't have an education. Right. To which my response is, I'm sorry, why would you think it would be any different? And I reframe things for people. I have about 22,000 students in the last couple of years that I focus this way. You can walk into a room and you can point your flashlight one way and it's a pile of garbage, or you can point it the other way and it's a gold. The person who walked into the garbage room thinks, oh my God, it's all garbage. The other person thinks it's all gold. It's the same room. Absolutely. So we're all experiencing life. And if you look at enough people, like there's a crazy couple of gentlemen who are on speaking tour who have no arms and no legs. I got to tell you, that would be an interesting hand to be dealt. Many of them you never hear from. These two gentlemen I'm thinking of are motivational speakers because they're like, look, I got this is what I got dealt, and I'm going to go on and live my life. Yeah. And so for anyone who dares to say, well, this happened to me, I'm like, look, read my refrigerator. That's probably going to be my new book. Read my refrigerator. I've got magnets all over it. One says life happens for you, not to you.
Not to you.
So I've taken everything that happened, and I can tell you stories about every single thing. And some of them are terrible. I raised a little boy for 12 years of his life and my life that was murdered, shot down 10 times just for no reason at all on the way from a haircut to church on a Sunday morning. How do you make that good, Forbes? I'll tell you what, I've turned it around. I've turned it around and used that story all the time because Dexter's memory is worth that. And I do that with every single story. My dad was in the hospital for 3 years during high school. I tell a story, and it's interesting and exciting to go back and look at these moments to see what you did get out of it. And one of the things I got out of that moment, we didn't have a whole lot of money to start with. And when he got hurt, we had even less. But his hospital room overlooked the only mansion in my hometown. You couldn't see it from the street because it had all these thick trees. But I could look at it almost every night. And it was a giant home with a huge circular driveway, big red brick, 2 giant chimneys. I mean, in my house, I don't know how Santa Claus got in. There was not only no chimney, there was like only a little back door. I think he snuck into the door. I don't know what he did. But at this point, I would look at it and I would fantasize, what is it like to be in that house? What is it? What is Halloween like? Did they get full candy bars? Like, I went into great detail of what it must be like to have your own room, to have a spare dining room, all the things. And it was real. It was right there. And, out of college, the first thing that I did was I got a job as an assistant, personal secretary to a billionaire. Because I had to see if this was real, if what I wanted even existed. And I got quite the education. So it wasn't, oh, woe is me. It was like, wow, I can see my path now. And I highly advise people to go and iron out their past, put it in little boxes, figure out how it serves you. And if it doesn't serve you, let it go.
Let it go, right.
Past. If you dwell on the past, you have no future.
Absolutely. Well said, Forbes. Well said. Absolutely. That was powerful. I love the fact that you went in and said, you know what, I'm going to be an assistant to a billionaire and experience. I'm sure you experienced so much from that can you share one thing that really stuck out?
I don't even know why they hired me. I had zero skills. I think they felt sorry for me. He was a lot older than she was. And I lived in their maid's closet. Like literally, it had enough for a tiny little bed. And I was grateful to be there. And I remember one day we're in the Citroën car, this French car, on the way out to the country club. And I'm in the back. And Mrs. Grace, now this is before social media. So we only knew what we knew. Mrs. Grace turns to me. She's like, you need to get Louis Vuitton out of the trunk. And I turned to her and I said, I'm sorry, who's in the trunk? And she's like, oh, you'll learn. And I'm like, oh, you're right. The couch in my house was green, covered in plastic, gotten at a yard sale. And it was that way my entire life. Louis Vuitton, what are you talking about? And I set out to go figure out, and a couple of things I did learn. I would go to the country club. I was lucky enough to go to a lot of places. And I couldn't talk to the girls there. I didn't have the level of sophistication and snobbiness that those girls did. I hung out with guys. If you watch the movie Mystic Pizza with Julia Roberts.
Oh, yes.
That's what I was experiencing. Total fish out of water. But I was real, raw, authentic, and I didn't put up with bullshit. And so I didn't care if you were a baron or an earl. The truth is, at that age, at that point in my life, I was in my early 20s. I would have drooled if you were Tom Cruise or Sly Stallone. Or
right?
But you're thinking of what country? Who cares, Slovenia? I don't even know where Slovenia is. Sit your ass down and let's have some food. I didn't say that. But
I know.
But you didn't impress me. All the money in the world didn't impress me. It was that fame and the goofy celebrity boy. If David Cassidy walked in, oh no.
My gosh. Gosh, remember those days? Oh my goodness, Forbes. I'm 54 years old, but I loved my, growing up and all these different movie celebrities that you just fell in love with. And Tom Cruise was always like everyone's in Top Gun, right?
Well, here's a funny story. I grew up with Tom Cruise. God, I have so many stories. I really need to publish this book. I was working with a ghostwriter many years ago, and the first paragraph of the first book was, what do Tom Mouthpother and Francine Forbes have in common? Both of them, when they were 16, used to sit on Toby Gibson's couch in New York City, dreaming of being movie stars. She was their manager. Both of them have gone on to star in projects that are worth $350 million or more. One became Tom Cruise. The other became Forbes Riley.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, it was a crazy story, crazy time back then. And he was a goofy kid with a big nose, but he was very nice. Just not all that, But then Top Gun happened and everything changed.
Great story. All right. So next question, Forbes, is can you share some key insights from your experience in entrepreneur success that our audience would find valuable?
Oh my God, every one of my stories I think they find valuable. It depends on what it is that you want to be doing in life. And so I have a very different perspective pre my children and post my children. And what I mean by that is my daughter at age 12 started doing entrepreneurship. She made $10,000 in a month selling lenses, drop shipping. I didn't even know what she was doing. And when COVID hit, because I'll just bring it into contemporary times, I'd always had a successful television career and movies. I just finished starring in a movie, by the way. It's a action-packed martial arts Western. I have 3 new TV series out, one on infomercials, one called 60-Day Hustle, and they called 2-Minute Drill. Life is very different than it was when I was the infomercial queen and doing soap operas. And so my daughter and son were 17 years old, doing junior year at home because of COVID. And my daughter comes down one day and she said, Mom, what are you doing? And for the first time in her life, I said, nothing. I said, what do you mean? Mom's always doing something. I said, Well, there's no television happening right now. I'm cleaned my closet 3 times. I've read a book and I'm done. I don't know what else to do. She said, let's start a company. I said, no, I'm good. I've started online stuff and I don't figure it out very well. She's like, Mom, I got you. Now, imagine the lunacy of a 17-year-old who hasn't graduated high school yet saying, Mom, I got you. But she'd already built websites for celebrities and a lot of my friends and built landing pages. And she said, look, we're going to take your pitching concept and make it an online business. And we sat down and talked about the structure of it. I launched my first webinar, and I could have done them sooner, but so here's what's important to understand. I'm a visionary. Nancy, I think that you're visionary, but part implementer. Got that? Mm-hmm. Yep. You need both of them. Do not think, you little entrepreneur out there, that you can do it on your own. 100%. Odds are you're a visionary, or odds are you're an implementer. Even if you're both, because you have to be, your tendency is one, find the other person. Because to grow and scale a company, it's not just you. And that's a problem with most solopreneurs. Right. And so we structured out my entire pitching class, which I still do on Sunday nights, called Pitch Secrets Masterclass. And I charge $19 for it. By the way, that 19 has turned into 2 million, just so you know. And then from there, I teach other classes depending on what you want to learn from me. If you want to learn how to be a speaker like Forbes, or you want to learn how to pitch, I have 2 different things that you can do. Night 1, I have 25 people in the room. Not a lot by my standards. I've spoken on Grant Cardone stage in front of 10,000 people. I've gotten 25. But COVID we're all kind of cold and tired and not sure what we're doing. But I had something to teach. The next morning I wake up and I look at my funnel account and I said to my daughter very naively, what does the K stand for? She said, what do you mean, Mom? I said, well, it says 25K in my account. What is that? She's like, Mom, that means that 100% of last night's room bought your $1,000 product. And in one night, first night online doing this, you made $25,000.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, what? Yeah. We did that. We did that every week for 4 weeks. And a 17-year-old and a first-time online business owner made 6 figures in 4 weeks, 1.2 million in 6 months, got our 2 Comma Club award, that means you made $1 million with one funnel. We did that. We have the plaque to prove it. And we were off and running. 22,000 students later, wow. Bought a single ad. And if you want to understand how I did it, I'm going to go back to, it's the concept of the pitch. Mm-hmm. How do you enroll people to show up? How do you enroll them and engage them enough to want to pay you for what you do? And I'm going to go back to square one. Give them what they want. So what do people want from you? So Nancy, your business life, when somebody asks you, what do you do? What do you say to them?
I'm a life and business coach, empowering female entrepreneurs who are living in the shadow of someone else's dreams.
Yeah, I do. Living in the shadow. You know what? Can I know, because that seems to be, you sounded bored as you were saying it. Your energy literally dropped off at the end because it's a sentence that doesn't really impact me, but you're talking to me. And this is what's really important. People talk as though they wrote it 8 years ago in a dark hole. I help entrepreneurs become a better life and solve all their business. No, you don't. First of all, I have a thing. Here's a free gift for all your listeners. Go to free gift from Forbes. There you will find this template that I'm going to do with Nancy. Okay. So Nancy, if I were to ask you, what are you known as? What would you say?
I'm known for a business coach.
Okay. Kind of boring. I'm known as a business. Want to get more famous? Change the A to a the. Okay. Now say I'm known as the
business coach.
What just happened?
I'm the shit.
Yeah, you just got more famous and I just changed one word in your pitch. Now, I don't know that I need the business coach. Here's what I do in the thing that you're going to get, this template. The very end of it asks you, what are you driving to? So Nancy, when you meet somebody, how do you enroll them? Do you have a course? Do you do a webinar? What do you do to get people on board?
I do a discovery call with them. I don't do a webinar, I do a discovery call.
So hey, Forbes, you know what? I'm known as the business coach, but actually you're not. I'm known as the women's. Do you specialize in women?
Mm-hmm, I do.
I'm known as the women's business coach. All of a sudden, you just solved a whole lot of problems by saying those 4 words. Really, the women's coach? Yes, because I've coached more than X amount of women over this period of time, and the results that I get, I 10X people's income. That's way better than living in the shadow of something that doesn't inspire me. Yes. I don't want to come out of the shadows, but I sure do want to 10X my income, better my business, be around women Forbes, I'm known as the confidence coach. What does that mean? Because as a business coach who can redo your structure and up your revenue, I can get you to be more confident in less time. Give people what they want, and then you give them what you think they need.
Short and sweet and easy.
Impactful.
Yeah.
I do live by another magnet called less words, more impact. Stop over talking. Stop saying words that don't make any sense. I'm a transformational life coach. What the hell does that mean? Nobody wants to transform. No, they don't. What they want to do is they want to be better, be smarter, be prettier, be thinner. That is the transformation. Then tell me that. Be specific and I will give you a credit card.
Got it. That makes sense. I noticed that on your bio, like it's two small little paragraphs. Like it's real simple and easy to the point. But that is who Forbes is.
Oh, I would rather have this one line. Forbes Riley, the $2.5 billion queen of pitch, period. Yes, I'm a best-selling author. Yes, I'm an amazing motivational speaker. Do you need to know all that? No. My ex-husband used to say, the less words in an introduction, the more famous you are. Here's my favorite. Ladies and gentlemen, the president. Here's Oprah. They don't say, here's Oprah. She graduated this college and she's not, here's Oprah. Welcome, Tony Robbins. You don't need to read. If you have to read somebody's credits, they're not famous. They're not worth interviewing. And because halfway through, even when you read my bio, I'm like, all right, I get it. Get to the point.
Yeah.
Because you're going to
I know. I sensed that from you.
She's reading.
Like, Nancy, okay, that's it. Let's get to the point.
Well, and that's what people miss. And we all ascribe to all of these rules. I mean, I have a speaker training that I'm doing in 2 weeks. And I'm going to tell you, it's unlike anything anyone does. Why? Number one, I'm an actor. I see the most boring people who are business owners. They may have made $1 million, but you can't speak from stage to save your freaking life, and you're boring me. Don't do that. Understand vocal tenacity. Understand improv games. Understand if the scenery falls down, what to do. So partly I train the things that I know. The second thing is how to tell an impactful story, how to raise your voice, how to lower, how to pause, how to do things that most people don't teach because they don't have that expertise. And then how to market, how to get on podcasts to build your email list, how to be a holistic business human being. You need to have upsells and downsells and products and free gifts. It helps. It gets your message out. And if you can do that, you're happier. And I think the world's a better place.
Well said. I hear, when I first started my business, everyone was saying, you have to get on social media and do reels and do this and do that. And I'm like, this is too much. I don't feel like I need to constantly be out in front of the world. Like, yes, but sometimes it gets exhausting. You want to make it simple.
That's a very naive statement. I run an entire company without a Facebook ad and not a huge social media presence. Making reels is very time. Well, people give you advice. They don't know shit. I'm sorry. The person who gave you that advice, I would ask them, how many followers do you have and what's your bottom line? Because if your bottom line is substantial, I want to know what exactly you did. If you're telling me I need to do a reel a day, you know what? That might work for some people. It's great if you have a whole video department. Put out content. Let me tell you something. If you've got 100 clients who are paying you $10,000 a year because they're so keyed in on you, what's 100 times 10,000? It's $1 million.
Yep.
Is it $1 million enough to live on? Maybe, maybe not. But so you don't need more than 100. If you've got 101, it doesn't really change your life. If you're spending all your time getting reels, then you're not delivering a $10,000 value to the one person who really wants you. Right. So I think the advice we get is very, very misguided and very scattered.
Yeah, and then you tend to work into the business, and that's not what I want to do. I've worked in corporate America in the mortgage banking and built companies, and I absolutely loved it. And I didn't have to sit there and be in front of the TV or making these reels because I just don't, I like it, but I don't. I'm like, I could do other things. I'd rather just talk with people. I love networking and such, but there's got to be an easier way. And trust me, Forbes, there's some people that I work with that even worked with celebrities, and, I love them, but it just wasn't a great fit. And that's okay.
Eliminate people who don't work. You come, bottom line is what do you want? What do you want to be doing with your time? What do you want to be doing with your legacy in your life? And make it work for you.
100%. 100%. All right. What motivates and inspires you to continue making a positive impact in your field?
One, the smiles I get from people. Two, the thank yous. One of my driving factors was I wanted to matter when I was little. I just had this vision that my voice would make a difference. I always did. And I thought at first when I was young that it was going to be in politics. And then I realized that nobody in my hometown could name a single congressman or senator at the state level. They didn't know who their representatives were. Forget the national level. They were like, oh. Then I realized that maybe those people don't affect change as much as I thought. And then Jane Fonda got out there, said a couple of words. The next, everyone was talking about what she had to say, even though she was just an actress. So my conclusion was way back then that if you're famous, people listen to you. And I think that my voice matters. So one of the goals was to get well known. But along the way, I'm also an actress. While teaching has been great and I do it nonstop all day, every day, I love acting. I just finished starring in the film. I've starred in Broadway shows and plays. People applaud you. The reason I stopped was because I had kids and I was a pretty popular stage actress. You could only make maybe $1,200 a week, or whatever it was. It was not enough to build an empire to survive, have my kids go to private school. Right. And so I started my career and I focused on home shopping and I focused on being on television. I focused on recurring income, doing infomercials, but it wasn't my first love. Although I did just see today, apparently, my little face is on the NASDAQ today. Oh,
Let me see.
I was so thrilled. Where did I just see this? Somebody just sent this to me and it's like, oh, baby. Oh, wait. Can you see that on the NASDAQ right there? My name.
Oh, I love it. Yes, I can. I love it.
A couple of commercial campaigns running right now. I got to tell you, that makes me happy. But at the end of the day, I do love enjoying performing. Put me on a stage anywhere. I always say that any day the camera's pointed this way is a good day. I love seeing that my children are happy. And the other part of my life, which I'm very happy to share, is that I'm with a man for the last 7 years that I absolutely freaking cherish more than anything. I didn't meet him until I was 57 years old. And I am grateful that I did. He's in fact 17 years younger than me. I had to wait until he was, out of elementary school. Just kidding. Because I couldn't have dated him when he was that little. But he inspires me every day. And I think the universe is smiling and laughing at me, as is one of my best friends who passed away about 10 years ago, that of all the people who would be spouting the fairy tale, I hated fairy tales. Yeah. I hated they live happily ever after. I hated the fact that a prince would rescue the princess who had long flowing hair and a tiny waist, and her mother was dead like Bambi and Dumbo, and her stepmother was evil. I hated all of those stereotypes. But because I grew up with that, I did want my Prince Charming. That's just my crazy thing. I hate Disney for that reason. And I'd gotten married, gone through all that, went through the murder of a kid that we raised, have 2 beautiful children, and then we just didn't want to stay together. And then I got very happy being alone, and I did that for about 10 years. And then one day I woke up and said, I want to share my life. I want to have my fairy tale ending. And I do think you have to get very clear on why you want it, what you're willing to do, and what that looks like. And for me, what I wanted was that my ex he was a chef. He would roll over in the morning and say, oh, what did a bear shit in your mouth? And I would start my day that way. And it was the beginning of a very long negative kind of, I didn't understand what narcissists could be. And it's hurtful because they're all smiley and wonderful and everyone thinks they're great people. But I walked around in pain a lot of the time that nobody knew. And I was covering it up, layering it up, and my work was getting weird because of that. And you got to clean your own closet, I got to tell you. And then one day I said, I want someone, get this, how strange is this? We all say, I want tall, dark, and handsome. No, I wanted someone who, when he rolled over in the morning, looked at my face with mascara down my face, my hair all frizzy, and my mouth smelling like last night's tuna fish, and saying, I love you. And no, last night he literally rolled over and said, you smell like onions. I love you anyway, but go brush your teeth. And say, I love you anyway. And when Joshua did that, he literally did that exact thing. I looked at the universe and said, how did you know? Like, that's what I wanted. And when he did it, I'm like, I'm good. I'm in for the rest of my life.
You had me at hello.
You had me at hello.
Wow. I love that, and it's so true. I've been with my husband for 35 years and he's 7 years older than I am. And it's just being yourself and not being someone else that you're not. And, you know, two things are important, as you already know, Forbes, is you know, your communication and your attitude. And that's in anything in life.
Well, Nancy, I do want to hear how you stayed married for somebody for so long, but I also had one other criteria on what I wanted. I wanted someone who looks like walked off the cover of a romance novel.
I love it. I love it.
One of the things, as somebody who always I mean, not popular in high school. In fact, he just took this picture. This is him at 46. And I'm like, you know what, man? I put at the top of my list, I wanted someone who looks like he walked off the cover of a romance novel. All right, you'll do.
No, just a little bit. You're like, thanks, babe.
I am happy.
You want in this body?
Well, but you know, that's the funny thing is I certainly never wanted a bodybuilder. I told my kids bodybuilders only want three things: working out, food, and themselves. I found the only one I found the one who loves in a way that he taught me how to love. And we talk about this all the time. He has got such a pure heart. His dad was killed when he was 2 years old in a car crash. His stepfather was killed when he was 15 in a car crash. And I will tell you, of all the men on this planet, he has a sense of loyalty that because those things happened to him, and remember you talked about the things that happened in your past, that colored how much he loves the people in his life. I've never met anyone like him.
Cherishes for sure. Wow. Yeah. And you would think that because of those situations that happened to him, that he would be in a different place, right?
No, his brother has the opposite. His brother, it's their mom. His brother has a beautiful wife and a stable marriage for, every 20 some odd years. And as Joshua said, I was waiting. He makes me feel so special. I can't even express to you.
Forbes, I can see that on like your postings on like Instagram and what have you. I watched you a couple of weeks ago. You did a pitch on YouTube. I think it was with your employees. And I even saw them in the background and everything. Like, I can see that your marriage, your relationship is pure. It's not a facade, it's not celebrity. And he lets me right now. I know, right? He lets me leverage him. When COVID first happened, I'm just so shallow. I would literally, he never wears a shirt. He's a big guy. And so he's warm all the time. He never wears a shirt, which I don't think that's cool in a house, but who looks like him? And so I would joke and he'd come and sit on my lap when I was teaching. And it was so shallow, but I was so enamored with the fact that it's like, dude, people should just like, go, wow, look at you. And he lets me do that because he has zero ego. These are the lessons that I want to share with the world. This guy looks the way he does for no other reason that he enjoys being a champion and being fit. He's not really on social media. He doesn't talk about himself a lot. I have to push him to want to be out there because he does it for himself. I don't know anybody else like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. It's true. It's true. And your guys, both of your personalities, right? Does he have a lot of that energy? Like you have that energy?
Are you kidding?
It's completely opposite, right?
He's like, just leave me alone. Well, here's the next thing that's amazing about what the universe did. I did not know that Joshua is a videographer and a brilliant photographer. Like I own a television studio. When he came out to Florida to see me here, he walked into my studio and he's like, I could manage this place. I'm like, you could, what? He's like, yeah, so my degree is that I'm a 3D graphic artist who's brilliant with lighting and camera. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So here's the funny thing. We as moving this part of my life, you need to be videoed and filmed all the time. You know what? It was cheaper than hiring somebody. I just sleep with my photographer.
He's the full package, Forbes.
And every once in a while he cooks for me too. I'm knock on wood. And I will tell you that 4 years ago this month, he got hit on his motorcycle by a kid and he shrunk down to nothing. I don't know if you know that or saw that.
No.
Yeah. This is part of the story is that, can you see the guy on the skinny guy?
Yes.
So that is before. The big one is him after, when he said to me, he's got a crutch right there. He said, when the gyms open back up, I'm going to go back for Mr. Olympia. And he rebuilt his entire body.
Wow.
And I said to him, look, Joshua, the funny thing about me is I'm all about the story. See, before this happened, you were super fit. You were an Arnold champion. I mean, there you are on stage looking real gorgeous. We all loved you, right? But when I look at the before and after photo, now what I see is perseverance, passion, dedication. I want to know about the course that you do. I want to know what you eat. I want to know, how did you go from that mentally and physically? Because for 6 months, that boy was insanely depressed. Sat in a wheelchair, just withered away. It was horrible. And then he woke up one day and said, I'm going back when the gym's open. And you want to hear what happened? He goes back, gets on stage at Mr. Olympia. He limps and he loses, the worst that he's ever lost. And he looked great. But he got off stage and he said, damn it. And you know what happened is that he said, I'm going to go back. I'm going to work harder. I've never seen somebody work so hard, except for me. When you tell me I can't do something, that's all the fuel I ever needed.
That's how I am. Do not tell me I can't do something, because I'm going to do it anyway. You know, I love, you're a very driven woman. And to me, I'm a very driven woman. I don't see anything else outside of that. It's like, you can have and do anything you want. You're a big believer of that. So do it.
And that's exactly what we do. And we travel.
He has a motorcycle. He has a Harley, right?
No, not a Harley guy. He's a BMW bike guy.
Okay, got it.
And he does not have one currently, and he's not had one since the accident, but he's jonesing for one, and we have that debate every day.
Yeah, you know, my husband was, I think we're still good on time. My husband was involved in, he does road racing. He used to do road racing where you go 150 miles around the corner, dropping your knee. He did that for years. And when we first got together, I used to ride on his motorcycle. That was before the helmet law came in. And I was in my bathing suit thinking that I'm the, you know what, and we would go to the beach all the time. And after years, after we had 2 kids, I mean, my daughter's 28, my son's 21, boy and a girl. So once my daughter was born, I didn't jump back on that bike. So years down the road, he was going on Ortega Highway and he was coming off with his friends, and a drunk driver hit him and took off. And his friends took off, made sure he was okay, took off after him. And the guys were pouring alcohol at a park. And so they got arrested and what have you. And I said that day, I'll never forget that phone call. I said, honey, I know this is your passion. I'm not going to take it away from you. I said, but go on a professional track so they teach you. Something happens, you know, something can happen and you can die on this, but at least that's all you're doing. There's nobody else around you other than other professional riders. You don't have to worry about someone being on their cell phone and hitting you, drunk driving, and what have you.
Looking the wrong way.
Right? Absolutely. All right. How do you approach challenges and setbacks in your career? This one's a good one, Forbes.
You just do it. You know what? Here's the thing. I don't think about it as a challenge. I have failed on a couple of things. I had a skincare line that didn't work. I had a kids book that's really not seen the light of day. And then I've had projects that have grossed over, $500 million. You do it. Don't expect to win all the time. Fail fast. And just have great intentions. I've learned lots of lessons. And here's the funny thing. There is no finish line. That's the funny thing. How much money do you want? Why does Jeff Bezos still work? Because there's no Jeff Zuckerberg. When you're creative, things work, things don't work. I don't really care. I know that sounds crazy. I know that most of what I do. Yeah, I know that most of what I do works. We can work smarter. What is your word for this year, Nancy?
Abundance.
Okay, and so last year, my word was implementation. I think abundance was about 10 years ago, but that's where you are at this moment. Implementation allowed me to get some training courses out there, really kind of up my game. I've got a staff of like 14 people. And this year it's delegation, because now I'd like to let those people do their job. I still have the mindset, and you come from corporate, so maybe you've worked with teams. I never really did the team thing.
Yes.
I was a lone wolf most of my life. I believe that I can do it better, but I don't. The funny thing is my graphic artist is way better than me. My course implementer is way better than me. And so I've definitely learned to trust and delegate. And the more that I can do that, the faster I can get projects done. I mean, right now I'm looking for 2 more ghostwriters, because I've got projects that just have never gotten off the burner because all my front people are doing those things, but I've not let those go. I am like a dog with a bone. Until something really, really, really doesn't work, I don't let it go.
I love it. You're determined. Come on.
I just love life. I just love the game. It is a game. It is,
Right?
and it's a fun game. And at the end of the day, the other people like, do you ever stop and relax? Yeah, I can name every movie on Netflix. So I must have had time to watch those. And I love sitting in saunas and baths. I mean, I take a sauna every single day.
Self-care. Right?
Yeah, I do that. I get massages. I do all of these things because I get it. Trust me, you don't look like this if you don't take care of yourself.
No, you have to. I love my massages, my foot massages, doing my hair, my nails. I love it. To me, I love to get up in the morning, get ready. And even though I work from home, I still get ready. I don't just dress like this because I'm on the podcast. It's just that's what I love to do. Do I wear makeup all the time? No, I'll put my hair up and stuff. But the last thing I love to put on is my power heels. That's just me.
How old are you?
54.
Give it 10 years, and unfortunately, those heels that I have a whole closet full don't fit as well if your knees don't work as well.
No, Mama, that's already gone. I'm starting to get a bunion on my...
I will tell you, I have a collection of shoes, 6-inch heels that would make you nuts. That was my favorite thing. And now I'm about 10 minutes into wearing them, and I got to go back to sneakers. And it's somebody nailed me the other day. I don't follow trends. I just know that Skechers makes a brand of shoes without shoelaces, and I don't have to trip over them. And so I started wearing these slip-on Skechers everywhere, which is like, oh my God, you wear like old lady Skechers. I'm like, screw
no.
you.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Keep wearing those heels until you can't. Like I was just at a big event this past weekend, and I wore my hot pink shoes that I actually love. I'm a crazy girl. Forbes, my feet were like throbbing. I just wanted to just take them off. And my friend's like, how are you wearing those things? She has her flats on. She's like, forget about it.
I know. I'm glad that you said that. And it's fun to dish the dirt and be girls. Where do you live, by the way?
At Chino Hills. I'm in California, Southern California.
Spent 20 years in Southern California. I loved my home there. Love living there. Love going back and visiting. Don't want to live there.
Well, trying to get out to Tennessee. I really love Tennessee. Have you ever been?
That's the only state I would never move to. I don't know what that is. I've been there 3 or 4 times, and I don't know. I love riding horses. I ride a lot of horses. In Colorado, we're galloping through wherever. In Tennessee, there's a rule you're not allowed to run horses if you don't own them. I don't know what that's about. I was standing in a local Walmart, asked somebody where the internet was. They're like, you mean that Wi-Fi thing? And I'm like, yeah, I need to go back to New York. We'll take a bus to New York. So I don't know why I'm most of Tennessee.
It will be too slow. It will be too slow for Forbes.
I'm sorry, but certain words don't have 5 syllables to them. Like, Stella? We're going to the Stella. Yeah. Like, you're going to, what are you talking about? I'm from New York. Where you going? Come on, talk to me fast. I listen.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I just love your energy, girl. Okay. I really want to talk about your wellness and fitness, like promoting, you have the one, what do you call it?
Okay. See that? It's called a spin gym.
Spin gym. I'm going to write that down.
So, well, you should, because I'll tell you what, this thing is the most remarkable product on the planet. I say that because in my career, I've sold 1,500 fitness products between home shopping and infomercials and a program called Fit TV that I had where I sold all these products. And I'm in the National Fitness Hall of Fame. But hey, what do I know? Here's what I do know. I know that this thing is based on the world's oldest toy known to man. It pulls 125,000 RPM. And when you get it spinning, which you can't really see, it vibrates your entire upper body all the way through your abs, your core, and your back. I do that sitting in a chair on a Zoom call. It is
so insane. You just open. That's your babe.
I'm done in a second. I'm sorry, say again?
So that's your babe.
No, yes. Oh, what my favorite?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let me tell you.
No, I was thinking that's your babe, but that's your.
That is my former babe. That is my amazing ex-husband. Yes. I'm sitting here. Remember I said I went to breakfast with my gynecologist from 20 years ago? Once I love you, I never leave my life. And Tom and I own this beautiful, beautiful beach home in Florida here. And you know what? Here's the smartest thing that you can do. If you ever love somebody, kind of like love itself, I don't think love dies. I think you can
No.
morph into something else. Can you still have relationships? Can you still enjoy
Absolutely.
that?
Mhm.
I think his girlfriend is amazing and phenomenal, and he respects time. I don't know. If I loved you once, you're the father of my kids. Why not? Right, Tom? So, yeah, sure.
Whatever you say.
Whatever you say, babe. All right, so he does have to get to work, so my time may in fact be up. I have loved talking to you.
You too, my dear. I've been watching it, and you know Byron, right?
I love Byron. He called me the other day. Just don't say that you've been watching me since you were a little girl. That's getting a little old.
No. Hey, you're not old. My husband's
No,
61.
I'm not.
You're very young.
Old is my girlfriend Elaine. She is 97. That's old.
She's 97?
Well, do you remember Jack LaLanne?
Yeah, oh, of course.
Well, that's his wife. Jack LaLanne is going to be played by Mark Wahlberg in a movie coming up here soon, which I'm excited about.
Perfect
I spent
fit.
8 years with Jack LaLanne on television, and Elaine LaLanne is 97 and still going strong and answering her emails and going to events. And she turned to me when I turned 60, and she said, because I was getting a little sad, and she said, "How old do you think I am?" And it was a cover of an 8.5 by 11 fitness book. And I said, "I don't know. You look like you're 40. She says, "I'm 62. 60s were my best year. Don't screw it up." Best advice I ever got. Best advice.
There you go. There you go. 97.
I know. And when you think about 97, it's a little bit old, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. But you know what? As long as I'm not a burden, I'll keep living.
She lives on her own. She's losing her eyesight a little bit, and her knees are a little bone on bone, but she still stretches every day. She cooks for herself. She laughs all the time. The secret to life, two of my friends, Les Brown and Elaine. I have never, ever gotten on a phone with them and not laughed. They laugh at themselves. They laugh at their own jokes. They laugh at life. Les has been fighting cancer for 37 years.
Les has?
Oh, yeah. He got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 7 different places 37 years ago. He is still going strong. I was just at an event that he flew into. He looks great. And the reason he looks great is because he has a reason to live. The people who don't have a reason to live, this one word kills people. Retirement.
100%. Yep.
I don't know what retire. Retire means you're dead. Don't retire from life. Find completely amazing reasons to live. Do what you say you're going to do and have a blast doing it.
Yes. Well said, my dear. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to meet you. I'm sending hugs, and thank you again for being a guest on my podcast.
All right, I'm going to have you on mine as well. To all of our peeps, if you want to find more about me, just go to www.forbesriley.com. I've got free gifts. I've got some stuff. And if you want a spin gym, check it out.
I'm getting that spin gym, girl.